Good evening. My name is David Harris. I'm the principal of Mechanicsburg Area Senior High School, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome the class of 2026 and you, their parents, to our high school.
Hi everybody, Mr. Bianchi here, an assistant principal at MASH. I want to welcome the class of 2026 to our high school. It's going to be an awesome year, hopefully an awesome 4-year experience that you're going to hear about throughout this video. And once again, just want to welcome you, and I look forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks.
Hello and greetings from MASH. This is Dr. Rudiso, assistant principal. I'd like to welcome the parents in the class of 2026. We look forward to meeting you and working with you throughout your careers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Reedy. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Mechanicsburg Area Senior High School. We wanted to welcome you, parents and guardians of the class of 2026. We are excited to meet your children at freshman orientation and also the first days of school here at the building and beyond this school year. We're also looking forward to partnering with you as we work together over these years at MASH.
This evening's program is really about providing you, the parents, with some information to help you support your child as they transition into their high school years. All of this information will be shared with your students in several different formats, certainly at our freshman orientation next week, not to mention the class meetings the first week of school, and then reinforced throughout the school year during different mechanisms of our programming. As you can see there, that is what the front of our high school is taking shape as. As I record this, some of the final preparations to the exterior are taking place, with some work continuing this week and next week on the interior as we get ready for the first week of school. What you see here is what we're calling the MASH Student Plaza. This will be the student entrance upon completion of the new classroom addition to the rear of MASH. We're expecting this addition to be completed for the start of the second semester of the coming school year. At that point in time, this will become the primary student entrance, and for many of our events, this will also be our public entrance at the Mechanicsburg Area Senior High School. I'm now going to step to the side of the screen to allow information to be fully visible to you. We refer to this as a parent coffee. We used to bring all of our parents in, or at least invite them in, but we found that we had many more views than we had attendance when we moved to the video format, and hence the video that we're sharing with you tonight, as we hope that all 388 members of the incoming freshman class have a parent or guardian or important family member who can be listening to and watching this program to provide support to their child. Yes, I did share that number, 388. That is fluctuating by the day in one direction or the other at this time of the year, as is always the case. But that will be the single largest class to come into Mechanicsburg Area Senior High School in at least 32 years. It would probably be the late 1980s since we've seen classes approach that size, if at all at any point in our history. So as we bring the freshman class into the high school, here are some topics that we're going to talk with you about. Certainly I'm going to share with you some information on the transition itself. There were some things that occurred last spring, but most of the transition experience will occur this fall here at the senior high school. We'll talk about academics. While we're here to talk about the first day of high school, we have to have our eye towards the last day of high school and discuss graduation requirements, and that we need to know what is that destination for this journey. Certainly the role that scheduling plays in that. But we also know that high school is a time for more than just academics. That is why we exist, but we know for the development of adolescents, ages 14 to 18, it's important that they have extracurricular opportunities to engage in, as well as co-curricular activities. These are opportunities where they can learn some life lessons, find friends, and gain experiences that they will take with them for the rest of their lives. And finally, when we bring it all together, we know that education is a means, not an ends, and we have to have an idea towards that end, a career focus. And so while your child's in high school, I cannot sit here and say with any degree of certainty that they'll have their career path figured out, but we do hope to provide opportunities and experiences to allow them to try different things, see different things, think about different things, maybe eliminate some ideas while focusing on others by the time they leave here in 4 short years. So let's talk first about MASH transition. Classroom expectations, just a couple of things. It's important as our 9th graders move into the beginnings of young adulthood. They are moving through adolescence, and it is important that they continue to develop some independent skills, some personal responsibility. One of the biggest things we find in terms of students transitioning to the high school, the sooner that they can accept responsibility for their actions, both positive and negative, the sooner they can learn to advocate for themselves, the sooner they can learn things such as time management, the sooner they can learn how to agree to disagree, the sooner they can learn how to mend fences when things go wrong. That is when they will find success, not just academically, but really in their overall quality of life. And so we certainly need to do things, and will do things here in the school to aid with that development. Some of those fall very easily into an academic setting. Classroom expectations, time management are two such things. But we will use our Freshman Academy at the close of the day, as well as our advisory program, which occurs throughout our school year, to work on things such as personal responsibility and relationship building, not to mention things such as time management. I think it's important that we also talk here, as I share with you as a parent of a recent high school graduate, the healthy decision making that we all need to strive to help our students through during their time in high school. We are well aware that as ninth graders, they are going to be in marching band, musical, athletic teams, student council, come to dances, doing things with students of all 4 grades. And so finding themselves with students a year or 2, or in some cases even 3 years older than them, as they meet this vast difference of individuals, not just based on their ages, but based on their life experiences. As it is a building of almost 1,400 students at this point, we need to continue to work with them to make the best decisions, to have a communication plan with their parents for difficult situations, to know who the resources are inside the school, whether that is the counselor, the social worker, a teacher, or an administrator. In addition to these topics, which seem relevant to high school and maybe high school specific, we certainly need to keep an eye towards life after high school. And so part of the transition, whether it be about course scheduling, whether it be activities that occur in advisory, whether it be things built into their graduation project, which we'll talk about, we really need to start to see post-high school become a part of their thinking. Not that they will have things figured out in ninth grade, nor do we want to rush this high school experience. But the sooner they can see the benefits of their efforts or the costs that come with some of their decisions, the better decisions and choices they'll be making academically, behaviorally, and socially. As we move into the high school, we want to share with you our bell schedule for the coming school year. We run on a 6-day cycle, which is consistent with the rest of the district. Your child's used to a 6-day cycle. And as you can see, we have 4 academic periods at the high school on days 1 through 5. So during period 1, a student may have English class. We'll show you a sample schedule in a little bit. And they go to that every day, 1 through 5, for 85 minutes. And then period 2, they could have a math class. Period 3, they could have a history class. And period 4, they could have a mixture of study halls, physical education, maybe even a music ensemble. We have a semester-based schedule, and that's why they would only have 3 major subjects in the first semester, and in the spring they will have 3 major subjects. And that allows us to have a fewer number of transitions. It gives us a chance to go into deeper learning within these classrooms, deeper experiences. But also, we want you to see that day 6 is a little bit different. On day 6, periods 1, 2, 3, and 4 will still meet, but they will be shorter on these days. So they will go to their English class, period 1, and period 2 they would go to their math, and period 3 they would go to their history class. But as you can see, there's a period 5 and 6 stuck in here, and period 5 and 6 allow us to do a number of different things. It is when some of our population of students will receive services and interventions to aid in their academic growth and development. It is also when we run a number of minor courses that don't meet every single day. And it is also when we have our music ensembles meet. We have students who are not in any of those categories would also have study halls at this time where they can access help desks, where they can meet with their English teacher or their science teacher or their math teacher, etc. You'll see at the end of every day, regardless of cycle day, we have something called IE period, intervention and enrichment. And this is geared around students having access to their teacher before the buses leave for the school day. And this allows all students to have an equitable opportunity to go get extra help, to go make up work. And during this time, in the fall semester, is when we will run something called Freshman Academy. And we don't know what that will look like for the spring, but for the fall, it certainly will be a series of topics centered around getting our freshman students ready for high school and helping them find success in high school. So again, cycle days 1 through 5, we have 4 periods with IE at the end. Cycle day 6, we have 6 periods. 2 of them are larger, 4 of them are smaller. This will be the second year we're running this format of schedule. We've made a few tweaks based on things we learned last year, but we did receive a lot of positive feedback from students, staff, and parents with respect to the concentrated focus as opposed to having 5 or 6 majors at one time. So we're excited with the changes that we've made, or the tweaks I should say, and excited to be moving into this semester-based schedule. I've mentioned the advisory program. Advisory meets, as you can see at the bottom, several times a month. However, your child will be with their advisory group the first several days of school as well as during their IE Freshman Academy. So they are grouped with this group. It is kind of a random grouping of 13, 14 students. They are in the same advisory all 4 years. They are grade level advisory, so your child will be in a 9th grade advisory this year, 10th grade, and so on. Every professional in the building, including administration and athletic department, not to mention, of course, all of our teaching and counseling staff, we are all assigned an advisory of our students that we follow from year to year. This year, the focus is initially on freshman transition needs, but eventually it does move to career exploration. Occasionally, we will use certain meetings to bring the whole grade together in the auditorium where we will share certain messages or information with them. Again, it's hard to talk a little bit about graduation when we're just getting the freshman year started, but I do think it's important that we understand that the high school works on a credit-based approach. And while we do want to see all of our students be successful and pass all of their courses, the reality is there are students who do run into bumps from time to time and maybe aren't successful in a course or courses. So we do need to track their credits from the very beginning. And members of the class of 2026 need 26 credits to graduate. And those 26 credits are broken down into different discipline areas, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. They also need to complete a graduation project, which focuses on career exploration. And we do have a Keystone Exam Proficiency that comes through state law, Act 158 of 2018. There's no need for us to talk a lot about the Keystone exams here and now, but we will continue to communicate with parents so they understand this graduation requirement and know what is happening at the high school to ensure your child meets this graduation requirement. When I say credit-based, course-based, you can see here it's not just 26 credits of any particular thing, but there are specific areas, and this is in line with state law and district policy. And so you can see the breakdown there by each academic area. But what we're most pleased about are the 8 elective credits, and that was a beneficiary of our move to a semester-based approach, which allows for more individual student choice over the course of their 4 years here. Whether they wish to double up in something like a language or a math or a science to accelerate quicker, or whether they wish to take 2 languages or some semblance of 2 languages, or be in music and still have an elective, this approach to scheduling really has allowed our students to create a more customized program for themselves. When you looked at your child's draft schedule coming home, it should have clearly delineated that their core courses, that would be math, science, English, and social studies, are labeled as level 1, level 2, or level 3. And this slide just explains that a little bit more. Clearly there are students in level 1 and level 2 who are going on to a traditional academic higher ed in both cases. Level 3 generally is not preparing students for an academic-based higher ed experience. We do believe all of our students need education beyond high school, but that does look very different depending on the student. And so you can see that level 1 is our most challenging. Level 2, again, still has a college prep focus, but it is on a different pace with more teacher involvement. And then level 3, again, focusing on students who are probably not moving to a higher education model, but a different kind of model post-high school. A reminder that as you look at your child's draft schedule, which you have had now for several weeks, there should be 6 majors on there. Our goal is for freshmen to have 6 majors and get that into their schedule. I just want to point out a major. Sometimes people think of majors meaning the core academics versus the fine and applied arts, but the reality is at the high school level, a major is something that meets every day of the semester. A minor is a course that does not meet every day of the semester. So your child could have Art 1, that's a major. Your child could have Wood technology one, that is a major. They could have foods foundations, that is a major. So they meet every single day. They could also have minors, which would be concert chorale, mixed chorus. Another minor could be global kitchen. So there are minor subjects they don't meet every single day. All freshmen should have health and PE. Health is in the first semester, PE is in both semesters. And over the time here in high school, we're hopeful that as students get to select more elective courses as they go on in their years from 9th through 12th grade, that those courses would be in line with their future interests post-high school. Want to strongly encourage level selection and paying attention to that, making sure it's the right level, as we do not change schedules once school starts. As you can imagine, it's very difficult to schedule 1,400 kids with the levels that they need, the electives that they want, and to develop a teaching schedule for the faculty that is equitable to students and serviceable by the staff. And so while we will review level changes if we think there's an error somewhere, we will not be allowing students to drop classes, and we do not permit students to change their schedule once the school year starts. So please take a look at that and get to the counselor with any questions if you have them. A typical freshman schedule is actually somewhat regimented except for the electives. All freshmen have health and PE. They have one of the English courses, American Studies, Earth and Space Science, and then a math course that is determined based on what 8th grade math they took last year. Of course, they do have 2 electives then to select, as they will going forward in their high school career as well. And when we look at electives, these are major options. Again, a major meets every day of the semester. We offer several languages. We offer courses in business and computer applications, computer technology, technology education, family consumer sciences, and the fine arts. There are also some electives in the core departments. Not all core department electives are open to freshmen. A few are. Most open up starting with sophomore year. Here's a sample 9th grade schedule. Obviously, you already have a schedule in your possession at home that we mailed home via US mail about 1 month ago. But this is for the first semester, and you can see this student has English 9 level 1, American Studies level 1, then they have Earth Science level 1, followed by a study hall on day 1, and then freshman academy. So period 1, days 1 through 5 should look the same for periods 1, 2, and 3 for this student. When we go to period 4, we can start to see that a couple days it's a study hall, but then we see the health and the PE move in there. Finally, on day 6, you can see how this plays out. This student will go to a study hall period 5, then they'll go to their English, then they'll go to their American Studies, then they have a study hall period 6, then period 3, they have their science class, and period 4, it'll rotate through. So some days it would be a study hall, some days it will be health, some days it will be PE. A different student here very well could have a music during period 5 and a music during period 6, or another student could have an intervention during period 5 and a music during period 6. So period 6 is very customized based upon the student. This student in the second semester would have their math class, as we see it's not here, and their 2 elective majors, which are not here. And that just shakes out based on how the schedule plays out and the other courses that a student picks. Again, I will point out that no 2 schedules for 1,400 students are alike. This is a map of the high school. Those of you who are familiar with it from older children or perhaps attended here have some familiarity with the layout. You will notice just above the welcome to in the middle of the picture is our new student services suite or administrative suite. So we do have the main office there, but we will also be relocating our counseling staff there, our social worker there, as well as our health suite. Where those offices were located and are located will be part of the renovations and expansions going forward as we continue to prepare our student both for the program, but also for the growth changes that are occurring at this time. You'll see a yellow construction warning sign to the top of the picture. That will be the entry to the new addition, and that new addition will open during semester 2 of this school year. This is particularly important to you. You can see where the buses will enter. For those of your children who ride the buses, that's where your children will enter in the morning in the rear of the campus during this school year. Later on, we do have a different bus ramp coming in, but it will be at the same location of campus. You can see our student parking lot has been reconfigured, and that is where students will park. And you can see our parent drop-off pickup is to the front, but we continue to move it through the student parking lot with a drop-off on the front of campus. It's very, very important. We really need your assistance to make sure you use the front for drop-off and pickup, leaving the student lot for the students. We do have several hundred students who drive, in excess of 300, and the additional traffic going in and out of there at the start and finish takes something that I still am worried about from a student safety. We have a lot of young drivers in one place, and it complicates it. So please use the front of campus for drop-off and pickup. And while we're early in the path to high school, it's just getting started, I do think it's important to point out a few things that will be available down the road. For later this fall, your child will have a chance to visit Cumberland Perry Career and Technical Center. I apologize for the wrong name on the screen. This is a program that has continued to develop, reinvent itself, maintaining some of its strong stalwart programs while adding new ones. It is a great path for many of our students. Some of the other pathways to graduation, such as college courses in high school, also known as dual enrollment, and internships and co-op experiences, independent study, and online electives will be available. Some cases their junior year and others their senior year. So it's always important to keep an eye down the road, learn a little bit about some of those programs so you can take advantage of them as they become available to your child. As I shared, we do need to keep our eye towards the end game. There are 720 days of high school. It always goes quicker than we think it will, and while we don't want to rush it, we want to be in a position at the end that we have a very clear focus for a post-high school plan. Best interest of the student and really best interest of the entire family. So students will use Naviance to do a number of different career exploration experiences, mostly tied into their graduation project, which we call Project Dreams, and their career development class, which occurs in 11th grade. We will spend some time in advisory at different points in your child's path through high school on this career exploration focus. Again, the goal is not for them to know exactly what they want to do when they leave here. That's hard for 18-year-olds. It's hard for 28-year-olds to know exactly what they want to do. But we do want to give them experiences, allow them to eliminate things or narrow down paths as they're exposed to new content areas, new job markets, and new opportunities that are existing not just in our region, but in our world. Communication. Communication is very important. I want to encourage you certainly to feel comfortable initiating communication as necessary. You will have a chance at back to school night here in just a few weeks to meet with your child's teachers. Email is probably the #1 best way, but I would encourage you to consider phone calls. The more we feel we don't have the whole story, or maybe the more we're frustrated, the more we're struggling with some information our child has given us or our child is struggling with. Email isn't always the best way, and so I would encourage you to start with an email and maybe set up a phone call in some of the most difficult conversations. You can certainly find the teacher's email on the website, but the teachers will also provide information to you to be able to access it. You can also access information through the teacher's website about their course and things that are going on there. So again, that Back to School Night program is very, very important in you getting to know your child's teachers and knowing how to communicate with them best and where you can find information. We will also have a back to school night in the spring as your child's full schedule will turn over with a new semester, and we'll invite you back in February for the spring semester so you can meet with those teachers as well. I encourage you to pay attention to the Sapphire notification system. There's a lot of information, not just in the grade book, but we put things out weekly. We will send a weekly email to you through Sapphire, which lets you know what the cycle days are the next week, situations or issues with parking or drop-off, but also programming information and other information that we need to communicate with you to keep you informed as partners in your child's education. We do have a Twitter handle at MASH Principals. We don't use it a lot. We need to continue to explore our use of it and use it more, but certainly we will use it, as well as the athletic Twitter handle, which I think gets a few more views when we have some information that we really need to get out there to you. But Sapphire notification system is our primary means. And certainly your child's counselor is their single greatest advocate. And we shared who their counselor was with you in our summer mailing to you in mid-July, and so you should have that information available to you already to be able to reach out. However, if you don't, simply call into the high school office or call into the high school counseling center and they will steer you to the proper counselor. Communication is always the key, and it does need to be two ways. We will certainly put things out there for you, but encourage you to communicate with the counselor, with the teacher, or with administration as necessary, depending upon what the situation is. Here are a few of the frequently asked questions I get from incoming freshman parents, and actually I'll get them from the students as well, but we'll cover these with them next week at the freshman orientation. Can they carry their backpacks? The answer is yes. Students are able to carry their backpacks throughout the school day here at MASH. And generally, the days of the heavy backpacks are over. We don't issue a lot of textbooks anymore at the high school. They'll have their Chromebook in their backpack, as well as several notebooks for classes, maybe some novels or trade books that they'll have for English class. Are students assigned to lockers? We no longer assign student lockers for a number of reasons. The primary one, though, is most students weren't using them most of the time. And so we don't assign them anymore. However, any student in the high school who wants a locker can have a locker, and they may sign up for one. So we will share this with the freshman students when they come into the high school for their first day of school and the first week of school. So they'll have a chance to sign up for a locker. It's a model we've used the last couple of years, and we have found it works quite well. How do we access bus stop information? Bus stop information is available on the district website. If it's not there just yet, it will be very soon. So keep your eye on the home district website for bus stop information. We will also have it posted here at the high school during freshman orientation. So students will be able to see it when they come in for freshman orientation next week. Where is parent drop off and pick up if I'm bringing my child to school? It is in the front of the school at the new main entrance. You'll come in off of Broad Street, cycle through the faculty parking lot, and we'd really like you to pull up as far as you can towards the stop sign before dropping off. Not every student has to be dropped off at the absolute front door. When does the building open? We open the high school at 8 a.m. The first class starts at 8:20 a.m. So please do not drop students off prior to 8 o'clock. That is when the doors will open. Our buses don't arrive till after 8 o'clock, so we open all three of our entrances that are accessed in the morning at 8 a.m. What is the expectation regarding cell phones? This is obviously not a simple process. Within a classroom, the teacher is the one who gives the permission for students to have phones out and in use. So a teacher may say, and likely will say, you may not have your phone out without my permission. And if you take it out, I may confiscate it. And that is the reality. A phone can be a tool, it can be used in education, but it also can be a tremendous distraction in education. Not to mention, when we talk about our child's lifestyle right now, all of them, the current generation, they don't get to turn off very often because they are constantly being bombarded with messages, sometimes from family, sometimes from social media. And not all these things are bad, but they certainly can be distracting. And so the expectation in the class is they will not use their phone without teacher permission. We also push that expectation into the halls and into the cafeteria. It's one thing to listen to some music when you're in a study hall if the teacher permits it, but it is not safe to be listening to music while walking down the hallway, particularly in the event that we're making announcements for a medical emergency or some other safety matter. A child would not be able to hear that. So we have an expectation that their phones are not out in the hallway. As you can imagine, these are difficult things to enforce, and I'm sure not all of you as parents agree with our rules, and so that too makes it difficult to enforce. But we will continue to try to be sensible, not archaic in our view of cell phones, but sensible in a healthy way that teaches your children proper use of at proper times. We hope that you will support us in our efforts. Extras. A high school is not just about credits, it's not just about grades, although that is our primary purpose. It really is about all the other pieces that add to an education, that shape an individual, and that prepare us for life beyond. So music has its curricular focus, which is part of our academic program, but it also has its extracurricular focus when we think of marching band and the musical in particular. But there are other non-academic ensembles such as jazz band, and so those are vital parts of our programming. Athletics are vital parts of our programming. Clubs and organizations, just a few of them are listed there, of which we offer many, are vital. And we will expose your children to these different clubs and organizations early in their high school career so that they can consider getting involved, which we strongly encourage. Students who are connected to their school for other reasons tend to find much greater academic success, have higher attendance, and certainly fewer issues with discipline and other students because of this connectivity. And all of these organizations develop our different parts of our brains and the different parts of our beings. As far as information coming from the high school, you can expect each Friday afternoon, we typically send a s'more newsletter, which can be translated into different languages. We will send that as a link via the Sapphire email that we have on file. So please make sure your Sapphire system is set up for notifications that you would like to receive. So each Friday afternoon, a Sapphire email. I've mentioned the MASH principals Twitter, and we often use MASH Athletics, Go Mechanicsburg Twitter. But Sapphire is our primary notification system, and it is primarily how we disseminate. When there is individual student-specific information, that will come via US mail. Things that are mass information typically will come through Sapphire. Some final thoughts here. First of all, I appreciate your time over the last 30 minutes or so. I hope the information has been helpful. I hope it's been insightful. I hope it gives you what you need to help your children through their first few weeks at MASH. I want you to know all of this information and more will be presented in different formats to your children during freshman orientation and the first week of school. A reminder, freshman orientation is on August 24th. That is next Wednesday. It begins at 11 a.m. in the high school auditorium. It'll conclude at 1:45, so please arrange for pickup. On that particular day, you may certainly drop or pick up in the front lot or in the back lot. I'll just caution you in the rear lot. There are athletic practices and there is marching band. So the 24th is the day. Just be patient dropping off and picking up, as there are a lot of students on campus. We will be offering students lunch that day, and there is no charge. We will be turning on the Sapphire portal on August 25th. That is Thursday at 6 p.m. That will reflect the most up-to-date schedule at the time. Your child will get a copy of their schedule at freshman orientation on August 24th. And we'll also hand out a clean and up-to-date version of their schedule on Monday, August 29th. Classes begin at 8:20 a.m. We will notify your children at freshman orientation and via email where they need to be at 8:20 a.m., whether it is in their period 1 class, their advisory, or in a class meeting in the auditorium. That has not been determined just yet. We'd like to wish you best wishes as we embark on the new school year together. We look forward to your continued support. And I'll just step back on screen here to thank you once again for your time this evening, listening to this information. Had a chance to meet the assistant principals, and we hope we have a great start to the school year. We will see you on September 8th at Back to School Night. Have a great night. Take care.